So good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Alhad Mulkalwar. I've just recently completed my internship at say G.S.M.C and K.E.M hospital. So this is a very small informal talk regarding how to approach case reports during your undergraduate days, that is during your MBBS. So let's get started. So as you can see on the screen, this is the basic definition of what exactly a case report is. So it's a detailed narrative of the symptoms, signs, diagnosis, treatment, and the follow-up of an individual patient. So basically, right from the time your patient enters your ward or your OPD till the time that the patient is treated, you go on with the investigations, you perform you take your history, you perform the investigations, you come up with a diagnosis, then come up with a treatment plan, you treat the patient, see for any you follow up with the patient for any post-op consequences or post-treatment sequelae. And after that, when the patient is completely cured, this entire timeline from the patient entering to the patient being completely cured and the follow-up being uneventful, this entire timeline is something of one patient. When you record, it is known as a case report. So now the question arises, why exactly is something like a case report important for our field? So now on your screen, this is something which we call as the evidence-based medicine pyramid. So what do we mean when we say evidence-based? So basically whatever we follow in our hospitals or whatever protocols or the treatment plan that we usually follow is based on some evidence. It is based on some research which has proven to be effective, and that is why we continue using it. So as you can see on your screen, the quality of information goes on increasing as you move up the pyramid. So, the fancier researches like the meta-analysis, systematic review, what it does, it involves a number of research projects and analyzes them to come up to one one conclusion. When you go down, you see there that there are case series and case reports at the bottom of the pyramid. So basically what we are implying here is that the quality of information that a case report provides is it insignificant? So actually that's not the case. So where case reports come into the picture is this hypothesis generation. Now what a hypothesis is, it's basically a problem statement. So for any particular research which you see published, anything which you see in a presentation, the first step is you write a case report. If you observe something which is unusual, which is not yet documented, something which seems to be novel, it is not existent in the medical literature, the first thing is you document it, you write a report about that particular patient. This is the stage of hypothesis generation. You are generating a problem statement. You are asking the medical fraternity a question: can XYZ be associated with ABC? You are not going to give the conclusive result of it, but you are putting forth this question. You are generating this question, this hypothesis. Then when you go up the ladder, you have case control and cohort studies in which you evaluate the hypothesis in a more formal manner. And then at the top, we have meta-analysis and systematic reviews, which are basically concluding that yes, this hypothesis has some validity. So just to give you an example, we are all very aware that thalidomide was a drug which was used for morning sickness in pregnant women. Now this drug was later found to have congenital abnormalities, and a case report is how it all started, which eventually led to the drug being banned for a very long time. So when a clinician observes one particular thing which is interesting, which is novel, which is different, he or she reports it. And then when it is published, other clinicians say, oh, you know what? Even I got the same result. I got the same finding. Let me publish it as well. And this is how, it's a positive feedback cycle. It keeps on happening. This is how it's exponentially. A lot of people then start reporting the same finding. And then clinicians say, okay, you know what? If this is being seen by so many people, maybe there is some merit to this. Maybe thalidomide is what is causing these congenital abnormalities. And then you do further studies, and that is how eventually any particular hypothesis is either proven or discarded. Whatever, it is still significant. There are other examples where vaginal adenocarcinoma was found to be associated with in utero exposure of diethylstilbestrol. Now, how does one come to make such a huge statement? It is because one clinician observed that there was something which is wrong with the children. They are in the early teenage and in the early 20s, they are getting affected by vaginal adenocarcinoma, and then when you trace it back, all the mothers had exposure to diethylstilbestrol. So that is the eureka moment. That is when you feel, okay, this can be something, and then you write about it, then others write about it, then you perform more systematic studies, and that is how eventually you come to such a conclusion. So the practical aspects of it, how do you start, what do you do? First and foremost, the most important thing I feel is to be curious. Your inquisitiveness is the most important asset that you have, which is going to guide you towards not just case reports, but anything new, anything which excites you. You need to be curious, you need to have your eyes and ears open to find out what is happening. For example, even as a first year student, if you are dissecting well, if you are interested in finding out the anatomical structures, even there, if you see an anomaly, an anatomical variation, that itself can stand as a case report. So it is not necessary that you wait till your third minor or final year to start writing something. You just need to have your eyes and ears open. And then when you come to your second year, you start attending clinics, you visit your wards, and I think that is the biggest uh, treasury which you can which can be found in a hospital. There will be so many patients which have rare diagnosis of rare adverse effects of the drugs. So attend clinics, make sure that you go attend the rounds. These seem to be quite boring, and you feel that you are so down on the hierarchy. Does anyone even care about you? But that's the thing, this is the most important tool in your entire MBBS. These rounds, these clinics, the experience that you gain from them. And then during these rounds, you will come across many, not just one, but in a single round, you will come across many cases which are novel, which are presenting in some other way or having some unusual reaction or something like that. But then to find out if something is new, you need to know what is old. So how do you know what the existing literature is? How do you know that this case is something different from the convention? So for that, you need to know the convention. You need to know what all has been done in this regard, what all has been observed earlier, and is this something different? So for that, you have something called as a literature search. Now, how to do a literature search is a whole new topic in itself. Definitely, you can learn to use PubMed. It's a very effective tool. It's really fun once you understand how to use it. So then, once you are done with your literature search, you know, okay, this is something which has not been recorded. No, it has not been documented, and this is something new. So then, let's do something about it. Now, what do? You approach a guide. See, as undergrads, we are quite junior when it comes to research and all, but that should not stop you. The moment you find something interesting, if you are in some ward, you find it interesting, you find a new case, it's interesting, you want to pursue it, go approach a guide. So a guide will generally be the head of the unit of the particular ward where you saw the case. Approach him or her, but before that, make sure that you complete all the steps like the literature search and the background information. You talk to the residents about it, and you get an idea, okay, this case is worth a report, and then approach the guide. So what this does is that it creates a very good impression in the mind of the guide, and they say, okay, you know what, this child looks serious, this child is going to stick with the project all the way, and so this is something I should invest my time in. Fine. And then there are all these logistic things called you have to take the permission from the guide, if there's it's a multidisciplinary thing, the other departments, the ethics permission comes into play, the consent, the documentation, and all these things. Again, once you get this done out of the way, then you start working. So when I say start working, you have to start from the scratch. Now comes the really hard work, where you have to go through the files of the patient. You need to be very thorough with with the patient, with the case. You need to know exactly what all research has been done, be it in the form of case reports or be it in the form of something like proper RCTs, randomized control trials, or anything of that sort. So you start first shaping the case. You get the background information. You you get the background information, you take the detailed history, you just not just about the patient but the relatives and everything. You follow up with the patient, the previous treatments and everything. You document everything, keep on writing everything. And then once you are done with formulating the story, then this is one thing which people tend to forget. You do not directly publish it. Please, please, please do not underestimate the importance of conferences. Please go, ask your guide, and please go to at least 2 to 3 conferences and present it as a case or a poster. Because I'll come to it down the line, but I think it's very important to go and visit these conferences and present it, because you never know how this is going to help you. It helps you not just in the academics, but also you get to speak in front of a lot of them. You develop your personality, you meet a lot of people, you know what your peers are doing. So it's a whole package. You learn really quite a lot from it. And then finally, of course, you publish. So now, again, when we come to the publication part, there are a lot of things involved. You see the impact factor of the journal, you see the indexing of the journal. You would obviously prefer a PubMed index or a Medline index journal. All these things, again, you can ask the guide, you can ask the people who are special the professors in that particular field. They'll be able to guide you regarding the publication part of it, and I'll touch upon it at the end as well. So now there's a general misconception. Okay, you have found an interesting case, so all I can do about it is a case report. However, the thing is that that's not the only thing. You can do a case series as well. So now, what exactly is a case series? So a case series is a collection of patients with some common characteristic. Again, it could be the pathophysiology or the presentation or the treatment or the reaction, anything, or the post-op outcome as well. So when you find 2 to 3 patients who are having some common characteristic, you can group them together and present it as a single paper. So this is, one small step higher above the case report, where you report only a single patient. However, in a case series, you report multiple patients, 2, 3, or there's no limit, but with some common characteristics around which you write your paper. Now, here's another interesting thing. No one knows about what clinical images or photo essays is. See, a case report, a case series is a proper article. You need to write 2 to 3 pages. You need to give references, and it's one of the smallest and the easiest thing to do. But an even more easier thing is a clinical image. So these articles are basically articles which have a better visual impact if they are your images or videos regarding a particular new finding. You find a new histopath finding or a classical one, intra-op photos, anything. So these are proper articles which even international journals publish, PubMed index journals publish, and you require most of the times you do not require references to be added to your write-up. It's a very small, concise write-up which is only to support the images. So it's like a 1 or 2 page article. That's it, and you get a publication. So this is something which a lot of people don't know about. Now, clinical images or photo essays, the what exactly are the rules and the guidelines for it will differ from journal to journal. So you will have to, for example, you can go up to IJMR, Indian Journal of Medical Research, or Indian Journal of Ophthalmology. There you will find the guidelines of what they define as criteria for clinical images or criteria for photo essays. So that is something very easy, even something much more easier than a case report. So keep that at the back of the mind. If there are good pictures and there's not much to write about, or just some supporting write up, I think this is something which is very easy to do. So then we come to how do you write. Once you have got the story, you have taken the efforts of noting down everything, formulating a timeline, a sequence of events of what happened and when it happened and how it happened. Then comes how do you actually write a case report. So now again, this is a whole something which I have learned from my guides, and again something which you will also learn from your guide. So obviously also I would like to point out here that take out as much as possible from your guide. Obviously your guide is going to be someone who is way more experienced, and is obviously working in K.E.M, will have an exposure to a whole lot of cases, will have been he or she would have been written so many case reports before. But obviously, when it comes to government colleges or any academic institute for that matter, the principal investigators are generally very busy. They will not have the time and the patience to probably hold your hands and guide you through the entire process. But that's fine. you know if once you have the data and once everything is done, this is how you learn from. You talk to your postgraduates, for the PG students, and especially people who are managing that particular case. You talk to your peers, you approach institutes like Aspire, you talk to your seniors. So every there will be a guidance provided everywhere. In this generation, we cannot complain that nobody is willing to help me, or I don't have information, or I don't have the resources to write something. That should not be our excuse. We have everything, and if you are really serious about it, you can definitely go on and write and publish. So another thing I would like to add is that whenever you do anything for any particular work, make sure you do not compromise on the quality of the work. Why do I say that? Is because I think I've just recently read an article regarding how the quality of research is so low when it comes to Indian studies. So that is why it is very important that in the pursuit of quantity, in the pursuit of getting, making a fancy CV or having more publications in your name, you do not compromise on the quality of the work you are doing. And that is why when you write, or when you are about to write a particular article, any kind of article, it could be an RCT or a case report, or an original research, anything, there are guidelines available for it. These are internationally recognized and validated guidelines. However, we do not know much about it. So when it comes to the case reports, there are care guidelines, which you will find easily on the Equator Network, which is a website. Now, I would like to share one of my own, projects, which I was fortunate to have had an opportunity to work under Dr. Urmila Thatte and Dr. Nitya Gupte ma'am in the Department of Clinical Pharmacology. So this is basically to check the adherence of case reports in PubMed indexed Indian medical journals with the care guidelines. So the care guidelines were given in 2013. So we decided to see how many case reports in these reputed journals were actually adhered to these guidelines. But you know what? Very few, very few, and most of them went in the category of average and poor adherence. And more importantly, in on the websites, even in the portion of the instruction to authors, these guidelines weren't even mentioned. So if the editor also does not know, or is not bothered enough about these guidelines, how is the author going to know about it? So this, you can also see that the journals which have a higher impact factor, you can if it's NEJM or a JAMA or the British Medical Journal, all these have very high impact factors. Like NEJM has 72, BMJ JAMA around 44 and 42 respectively. So they have these guidelines. You go and visit the website, you will find all these guidelines there. So make sure that you read it up. You are learning these things at a very tender age. You are just in your undergrad, and there is a long way to go. So if you learn to focus on the quality of your work right at this stage, it will really help you a lot. So this is the study which we had done. We also found that high impact factor journals, the case reports written in them had this quality, and that is why they get published over there, right? So if you compromise on the quality, again, you won't be able to get it published in reputed journals, and then it really does not give that kind of an impact as it would have had you followed all the guidelines. So then we went ahead and we published it in the Indian Journal of Medical Ethics as well. So this is just a screenshot of the care guidelines. The care stands for case report, and this is just a very a primary checklist, you can say, of what all are the basic requirements, the necessities of a particular article. Okay, when you a case report, to be precise. So whenever you do decide to write one, please make sure that you go through them, and it will guide you to write a very crisp and a very quality enriched case report. So this is just something which I wanted to share. This is a page from my very own CV. So these are the case reports which I have done. Now, not to brag, but I would like to definitely point out that you can see all these cases are from different departments. They are under the HOD or the professor. So and this is all which I managed to do in my final year in a span of 2 to 3 months. Now, how and why? So I would like to share this with you, that one time on WhatsApp, just like the National Research Forum keeps on sending so many articles, on the Aspire groups. This is something which I received over there. The Indian Journal of Medical Research decided to launch a competition in 2019 for clinical images, which I pointed out before. So unfortunately, because of COVID, after that, I don't think they have started the same initiative. However, when I was in the final year, fortunately, this was something which I received. And then, so obviously, something new. I really wanted to do it. I wanted to try my hand at it. I know my exams were coming, but still, I felt that this is something worth my time. So, what did I do next? A simple thing like this: you have something, you want to find articles, you want to find cases, be blunt, be foolish, be shameless, be whatever, just go on and text everyone. I texted all my contacts saying that, okay, sir, ma'am, I there's this competition, I want to be a part of it. Is there any case which I can publish or which I can work under you? And you know what, more often than not, they are very eager to help you out with this. So again, just a brief background, why exactly do a research, just to quickly wind it up. Again, as I said, conferences are of utmost importance. When you are in your undergrad, you are not just developing your academic knowledge, you are developing your personality. You go here, you talk. I had personally had a lot of stage fright. I started, overcoming it through these conferences. I went, presented papers, posters, cases, and at those conferences, you get to see a lot of guest lectures as well. They are really amazing. You get to, uh, you know, meet a lot of high profile people. They have a lot to offer. If you just need to listen over there. So even if you're not presenting, just go attend these conferences. The utility and the value which it adds to your, to how you progress through your MBBS is something which I will not be able to explain it to you all, but you need to actually go and listen to all these people, all the, what all is happening around the world. Then again, a research can be also presented as a symposium. If you are interested in, the animations and all that part, you can be a part of the symposium team as well. As I said, social skills, your public speaking, your networking. I think in our entire curriculum or entire MBBS, we are never taught the importance of networking, of being in touch with your colleagues, being in touch with people from allied professions, not just medicine, but even beyond that. So I think this is highly underrated, but very important. You need to realize that we are in a very social field, and you're always going to be required to stay in touch with the world around you, be it people, be it the recent discoveries or anything. So it's very important that you develop this, and research is something which will help you not just with your patient interaction, but being in touch with your peers, your seniors, and your professors as well. Academics. Now, what you need to realize is that everything which you read in your books is something which someone thought of, decided to write about it in a systematic manner, report it, and then others started realizing its importance, and they also did some research about it, and that is how it became an evidence, and that is how it entered your books, or that is how it entered your practice. So what you need to realize is that research is the basis of everything. Now, instead of VD Joshi, if you open up Guyton, or instead of Harsh Mohan, if you open up Robbins for pathology, you will realize that they give a lot of references. They'll quote a lot of studies. So when that is how you realize what the impact of research is. That's one simple step. If you want to know the impact of research, go and read standard books. You will realize that how the research which is happening around the world is shaping what you read right now, or what the future generations, the aspiring doctors would read. Secondly, I think COVID is a great example of how research is important in the contemporary world. We were hit by a disease which we knew literally nothing about, and we are still finding out. And that is how it was a great opportunity for researchers all over the world, students and professors alike, to jump in and try finding out more, because that is how without evidence we have nothing. And how does this evidence come? Through research. Obviously, you publish it, you have a CV, maintain a good CVC. Having a good curriculum vitae is should not be the main focus, or uh, the main objective of doing a research in the first place. However, whatever you do, have it documented. Make sure that you update your CV, because that is what represents your entire hard work, be it whatever, be it your academic, co-curricular, your extracurricular, your cultural, whatever things you do. Make sure that you keep your CV updated. Another thing I want to point out in the academic section is that I believe that the most important purpose of doing MBBS is not to make you a master of all the 19 subjects. It's literally impossible. What it aims to do, or what it should aim to do, is basically give you a brief exposure, a kind of an impulse about what each field is, so that you can make an informed decision regarding what you want to do ahead in life. So I think as students, if we do not know what we want to do ahead, it's and after MBBS, if you're still clueless, I think that's a very sad scenario, because then what did you do in your entire MBBS? Now, if you see, I would like to share my own personal experience. I did all this because I wanted to know what's happening or what these fields are. I worked in the Department of General Surgery, GI surgery, urology, plastic surgery, neurology, pathology, pharmacology, just because I wanted to know what these fields are so I can know what I want to do in life. Because if you don't know that, I don't think that just because I got some XYZ rank, okay, then this rank corresponds to this seat and that is why I should do that. अच्छा रैंक आया तो रेडियोलॉजी ले लो, इवन दो इफ माय इंटरेस्ट इज पैथोलॉजी, व्हाई शुड यू डू दैट? नो फील्ड इज inferior, but to have that kind of a validation about what you like, you need to know and explore all these things. Okay, so people generally think, अरे plastic surgery is only cosmetics, उसमें क्या रहता है, what's the utility of it, I just don't want to give all these facelift surgeries and all. Do you know that the biggest social impact and the largest operation currently in anywhere in the world is plastic surgeons running cleft lip and cleft palate operations and camps in Africa or India or anywhere else? So how do you get to know this? How do you the plastic surgery also has so much utility when it comes to burn victims, a lot of research, a lot of social activity. So it is not just the elite class of the society that you serve, it is also the lower classes, the burn victims, the people who cannot afford costly surgeries. So how do you get to know about it? Talk, meet, interact. I, I just went to HODs and professors and anyone who I could meet and just talked about it. What was happening, how I could get involved in something which they are doing, how I could learn from it. And then finally, as I said, the exposure part is important, not just the academics, but also the different kind of branches, the conference which you attend. So personally, let me tell you that I am moving out of MBBS. What I mean is that I am now preparing for the civil services exam and I want to get into the Indian Foreign Services. Now people are like, "Arey, itna research kiya, itna काम किया medicine में, and then why are you moving out?" So I would like to take it the other way. Because इतना सारा काम किया, because इतना सारा exposure मिला, I went to conferences, I somehow happened to sit through Model United Nations, I loved it, I started talking to people, research gave way to the idea of Aspire, I started implementing this, there were a lot of hurdles, but on an administrative level, I got a lot of exposure, I learned that, okay, I love administration, I had some interest in politics. So that's how I said, you know what? Okay, I realized that I like public speaking. I like all of this. I like diplomacy, negotiations. Let's go for foreign services because that's what my passion is. So how did I get my passion? It's through research. It's through all these small things and small activities that I did. So now one small quote for you. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. Now, why this is important? It's important because of this. So when we propose the model of Aspire to in the general body meeting of a college, I presented this data. This data, me and my colleagues found out from the batches of 2015 to 2018 regarding the approach towards research in undergrad students. We interacted with faculty members as well as students, and this is what we found out. A number of students were definitely interested in research, but not all took it up. If they took it up, not all continued. If they even finished the project, they were not interested to wait till the publication, and they were like, you know what, forget it, what time lag raha hai, मेरा exam aa raha hai or something like that. So you can see the high dropout rate, the high attrition which is there. So this is, I think, a major hurdle when it comes to undergrad research. I don't think that this is something which you should really understand, that when you start something, please, even if things get tough, that is where you learn. Stick with it till the end. Do not abandon your work, your hard work, your the all the time that you have put in, just because कि okay अभी बहुत हो गया. So then how does one manage to do that? So here's something I would like to share. Ki, for 5.5 years, you are going to be in this institute. Okay. Be it any institute, if it's K.E.M or anywhere else, there are lots of things to do. Lots, be it symposium, be it research, your academics, quizzes, cultural events. When I say don't waste time, I do not mean don't go into or don't enjoy or don't have cultural events or don't. That is not time wasted. That is time well spent. But make sure that you prioritize. See, it's not going to be possible for you to manage everything which the college or this field has to offer to you, or the city for that matter. But you need to prioritize. So I personally wanted to participate in my cultural event Avishkar. However, I knew that okay, I want to have it low in my priority, because in second year I wanted to try out symposium, I want to try out research, and this poster and case presentations and everything. So I knew that okay, somewhere Avishkar may not be, a cultural event may not be possible, but that's fine, because you know what, I had my priorities well set. So, a small tip from experience is that when you have a priority list, that means that when you take up number one on a priority list, make sure that you take up number two only when it is not hampering the quality and the time which you can give to number one. So, you need to be very sure about what you want to do over here. What are the things which you want to learn? What excites you the most? What is going to possibly have an impact for the way you're going to approach life ahead and this field? And that is how you form a priority list, and that is how you go ahead with it. So this is a small video which I would like to share. This is one of my projects which I was doing in the Department of Pharmacology. It is about in which the rats were to be made alcohol addicts, and then we used to try an alcohol de-addiction drug on them. So this is a rat which is completely addicted to alcohol, and that is, see, there's a water nozzle as well, but he's not interested. He's only interested in the alcohol, and whenever we used to put the bottle, this is how they used to respond. Completely addicted to alcohol. So now, why am I showing you this? It is just to tell you how interesting it is, how fun it is to actually go and learn something like this, which no book is ever going to provide to you. So let me ask you, how many of you all have actually visited the animal house of your very own college? Have you been inquisitive enough to go and find out what your college has to offer? Now, this is just something specifically for K.E.M students. When we obviously when we are proposing Aspire, this is the list of centers which people do not know about, or if they know, they have never visited or never understood what happens inside. Or you need to understand that, be it any college, every college has something to offer. But if you're in a college like K.E.M Hospital, it has so many things to offer. But it is useless if you are not willing to make use of it. Now, we have two nationally recognized microbiome labs: the pharmacology experiment hall, the art nothing, but the experiments which you see on video during your practicals, I had the opportunity to actually work over there. We have the animal house, which is one of the best animal houses. I have seen quite a lot of animal houses, but that is one of the best, the most well maintained, and the number of researches which happened over there. I happened to saw how an ECG of a mouse is taken, and how do you actually work with animals in different models which you see only on video. Then you have the ARC, which is the Ayurveda Research Center, again in the under pharmacology lab. You have ICMR started hematological research lab on the 13th floor of new building. Biochem labs, a simple thing such as the biochem labs, we were never shown, we were never told. It's only in the internship we realized कि okay, एक biochem lab होता है जहाँ पे samples deliver करने रहते हैं. But go and explore and observe. Ask your teachers, or if Aspire can probably organize someday down the line a kind of orientation visit to any of these centers. You have the Hafkin Research Institutes, where the anti-venom of so many snake bites is made there. The vaccination process happens over there, the production. You have the NIRRH just in front of K.E.M. You have the MRU, or the Multidisciplinary Research Unit of K.E.M. So, even if you do not know anything about research, go and visit these centers. Go and ask your mentors, ask your professor to take you to the respective labs or the halls which they are in KEM. You never know when inspiration might strike. So, as I said, always keep your eyes and ears open and just go and observe. That is all that you require to do at this age. You don't need to be, you know, doing anything more than this. And finally, I would like to leave this session with one last quote: is that you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future. So as Steve Jobs has famously said, you need to trust in something, be it karma, be it God, be it even your gut feeling. Because at this age, during an MBBS, when you are doing MBBS, we are just being newly exposed to whatever is happening around us. We have no idea how this entire world works. We have no idea what we want to do. We have no idea how it's going to end up. How we going to even? I remember in the first year, it is so tough that are we actually going to make it till the end. That is what keeps on happening in the mind of a young undergraduate student who has just come to a new college, a new city, and has to adjust and does not get a lot of time to get to understand how this all works. So I can, from experience, as I said, my dream or my passion, which is to become an Indian Foreign Service officer or to become a diplomat, stems from all the work that I did in KEM. Now, I never knew why doing research would be important. I never knew why participating in be it, extracurricular activities, be it in debates or MUNs or symposium, how it is going to shape my future or how is it going to be important. Is it just going to add on my CV? Fine. So, like, CV is fine, it's just a piece of paper. But more importantly, everything that I am right now, that I look forward to do, has stemmed from my experience in my undergraduate days. Anything, be it organizing events or be it putting a proposal to the departments to bring in something new, collaborations, interdepartmental collaborations, collaborating with your faculty members. We had a great experience having a CPR workshop at the BMC head office, where again I got to meet a lot of people and they told me how the bureaucracy works and everything. So you never know what you're going to gain from this, and that is why you need to, there's sometimes a small intuition. The nights before sleeping, you have these kind of ideas which float in your mind, but unfortunately what happens is that when you wake up, you just like, "Arey, we have to go to our daily routine," and you just forget about it. Now let me tell you, everything that I've done, especially Aspire, was kind of this one night idea, like, what, probably we should start something like this. And now you can see all your senior secretaries and the junior secretary and the entire team of Aspire taking it ahead so well. So as I said, you will never be able to know or never be able to understand how the things are going to work in your favor. You just need to believe somehow that it is going to help. You will never know how, but have a broad interest in something, prioritize the list, and just go and do it. Now, another thing, lastly, I would like to add is that we, or the Indian society, or from the beginning, we are taught about how to avoid your failures, how to avoid getting, avoid making mistakes, avoid getting defeated. And you know what? That has led us to become a person who never knows how to take risks, a person who is so afraid of failure. Because all the students who come into medicine are people who are, you know, generally the top of their class. They have seen that glam from before, and they are so worried about their, the reputation or their consistency in their academics and so on and so forth. But that takes up a very integral part of us, and that is the ability to risk something, the ability to take chances, to take, big steps, and to take the tougher steps. So research, or anything for that matter, be it as small as a case report, a clinical image, or as big as being a part of an RCT, or anything that you do during your undergraduate days, is something new. So please go ahead and do that. Whatever your interests are, go ahead and do that, because that it is only then somehow you will find your calling, you will find the motivation, you will find what you exactly want to do. Just because 10th में biology अच्छा लगता था and that's how you decided to go to medicine, and अभी लग गए हैं तो कर लो, rank acha hai, medicine le lo, although you're interested in surgery. It does not make a lot of sense. You are going to stay with your career for the next 40 years of your life, and that is why you should not be worried about the plus minus 1 2 years going here and there, but make sure you explore, go on, attend as many things as you can, be it conferences, be it just seminars, or just simply going and talking to your professor. Learn from them, learn the experience which they have to share. You do not need to again do all the mistakes to learn from others mistakes, learn from wherever and however you can. And doing research is one small but an extremely significant step in that direction. So thank you so much, thank you Aspire for inviting me. And please feel free to get in touch with me. I have, as you can see, there's a contact number and the email ID. I may not be available on call all the time, but you can definitely WhatsApp me anytime. Make use of Aspire to to the best of it. Whatever you want, always you can always approach it. If you have a new idea, you can approach the Aspire team and say, you know what, this is something which I feel needs to be done. So don't be afraid, because you need to be foolish. You need to be, just let go of all your ego and just learn. Make mistakes. That is the best way to learn. Make as many mistakes as you want, be as adventurous as you want, but please do not waste your time at your undergrad college. Enjoy. Thank you so much.